I've been reluctant to talk about the secret society I'm a member of. So far, I've mostly shared various tips on elevator safety, providing grisly examples of why we should be more careful around these giant steel animals. But I want to take a minute to talk about a different danger: the imminent destruction of Swarm. Swarm, SUERM, the Society of Untainted Elevator Repairmen, is the last line of defense between hell and earth. No, it's not sperm. That's what I thought at first, too. Sperm, SPERM, on the other hand, is the Society of Possessed Elevator Repairmen, who shamelessly mock and imitate our acronym for their own evil purposes. Oh, and they also transport demons from hell to the surface world. I guess I probably should have led with that. Our society and theirs have been at war with each other for ages, long before modern elevators were even invented. The thing people don't realize is that there were a lot of societies smarter than our current one. They existed throughout the ages, were built up over centuries, and wiped out by invading hordes, viruses, meteors, and ice ages. Everyone thinks the modern world is the most advanced, the most technologically capable that's ever existed. But we're not. We're definitely not the first people to come up with the idea of a box that gets pulled up and down by a chain to get you from the bottom level of something tall to the top of it. We like to think we're that special, but we're not. Ancient Egyptians actually created what we would call electricity thousands of years before Ben Franklin flew his kite, or Thomas Edison patented his stolen inventions. They made using ley lines the power we have today. Hidden pathways of energy that crisscross the earth and intersect at places, causing influxes of great force which can be harnessed using the proper technology. But back in those days, the ley lines were much stronger. Today, they wouldn't even power a clock radio. You'd be better off using potatoes. The Mayans had elevators as well. But of course the Spaniards came along and brought a bunch of smallpox with them, and that was that. No more Mayans. And no more elevators. At least not for another few hundred years. The island nation of Atlantis was well known for their lift that extended far into the heavens and down into the depths of hell during a brief period of diplomacy between the three realms. The towering device was constructed with the help of celestial beings, as well as certified members of Swarm and Sperm, but that didn't last long. The huge elevator was destroyed during the ensuing battle after talks between the three sides broke down, destroying the entire country in the process. But I digress. Swarm meetings are held very infrequently, like once a year infrequently. So when they do come up, it's a pretty big deal. The one I went to last year was no exception. It was almost a guarantee that if Swarm is getting together, Sperm is going to be a bunch of dicks and try to fuck up the party. They're intent on disrupting any gatherings we have, which is why we keep them secret, or at least try to. This year was no exception. We'd all gathered at the large auditorium, which was located in a nondescript building south of the outskirts of town. Fortunately for me, the meeting was taking place nearby for once. Unfortunately for all of us, my hometown is a hotbed of evil. It's been corrupted by forces of darkness. So there were others not far away who were looking to cause trouble. And they'd managed to follow us despite our careful precautions. Just as we were starting to eat, the giant custom elevator-shaped cake, we heard the windows smash and smoke grenades rolled in. The doors were kicked open and they marched in carrying submachine guns and pistols. Others swung in through the windows hanging on ropes like a SWAT team. Bunch of assholes. Couldn't let us just have one night off. Fortunately, we had taken precautions. Underneath each table was an array of weapons. The thing about possessed repairmen is they have to aim for the head. They're a little like zombies in that sense, so I've been practicing my aim. One of them came at me, his eyes glowing red, a long blade clutched in his hand. I ducked away and got a shot off with my Glock. Managed to catch him in the forehead, and a piece of skull shattered, spraying gray matter and gore everywhere. I got under the table and hid with a couple of others, trying to formulate a plan. There were too many of them at this point. They'd clearly been recruiting. They'd been bringing up lots of support from down below, too. The bastards had broken the recent treaty and were waging all-out war now. Pete was next to me, crouching in the shadows. He had his trusty handgun as well, which had been taped beneath his place at the table. What do you want to do? There's lots of them. He thought about it for a few seconds. High ground? High ground. The people around us, under the large banquet table, looked at each other confused. They were going to be in for a show. We jumped up out of our positions under the table and moved towards the next one, remaining unseen. There were dozens of red-eyed repairmen all over the auditorium, and up on the stage where the guest of honor was sitting, surrounded by dignitaries. There was bloodbath. All of our leaders were being wiped out one by one, their guards killed mercilessly. The constant deafening sound of gunfire assisted in muffling the noise of our movements, at least. We made our way to the next table, heading up to the stairs that led to the stage. One of the evil bastards finally noticed us and ran towards us, screaming in rage. Don't ask me what he was so angry about. They're the ones always stirring up shit. I raised my gun and put a bullet in his brain, just as he was about to do the same to me. He managed to get a shot off, though. Hit me in my shoulder. Screaming in pain and horror, I looked and saw Pete, waving to me from the stairs. The only way was to go forward. I tried to ignore my newfound fear. Saw a machete on the ground. One of the possessed repairmen had dropped and picked it up clumsily with my uninjured arm. At least it was something. Went up the stairs with Pete. We found ourselves face to face with a dozen red-eyed ghouls. They were grinning evilly and watching with malice, so we looked at the dead bodies of our friends. What the fuck do you guys always have to come and crash our party? You can't just get your own keg and your own karaoke machine for once? We want yours. Whatever you have. We want it for ourselves. All of it. Now give. Give your life first. He raised his gun and took a shot at me, barely missing. My heart began to hammer loudly in my ears. The sickening sound of it zinged past, flashed through my mind again and again. I ducked behind the nearest wall, my reflexes and adrenaline taking over. They fanned out, and Pete tried to get a few shots off as they focused their attention on where they were going. Pete was a dead shot as always. His clip held an extended 33-round capacity magazine, and every shot hit its mark. What can I say? We train a lot. It's pretty much all we do aside from fix elevators. My fear began to turn to triumph as I saw them running away, wide-eyed and full of terror. Or a couple of gunslingers, I guess, but I don't like to brag about it. One of them stayed behind, though. A man striding amongst a pile of corpses. His and ours alike. I had no idea how many we had left, but it wasn't many. Our numbers had suddenly dwindled significantly. The man had smoke rising from his shoulders and a pale, gaunt demeanor. His suit was white as fresh snow, with hair like the feathers of a crow. He opened his mouth to speak, and I saw his lips and tongue were far too red, like they were inflamed and infected. But he was smiling nonetheless. "Do you have any cake left?" he asked, striding with a whimsical step, twirling a little cane. "Yeah, sure, help yourself, like you do to everything else." "Oh, I will. He walked over to the table and casually picked up a slice, already cut, and placed it on a paper plate, equipped daintily with a napkin and fork tucked underneath the frosting. Eating it, he walked back over to stand below us. We were up on the dais, surrounded by corpses. "Nicely done, by the way. I really thought they'd kill you all." He chewed a piece of cake with his mouth open, a little smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Have you thought about switching sides? It really is getting pretty pointless right about now. I mean, you realize you're completely fucked, right?" "Yeah, we'll get back to you on that," Pete said, his face betraying nothing. As I thought. "Well, if you should change your minds, you have my number." He turned around and walked away, and my blood pressure began to drop slightly. It felt like I was vibrating from head to toe, from the terror and full blast of adrenaline I'd been experiencing. It's not every day that you come face to face with the devil himself and live to tell about it. That's twice now for me. I don't think I'll survive if there's a third time. But I have a funny feeling there will be.